Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and today Eitan and I are exploring the idea of embracing growth. Embracing growth could probably be the title of every episode of Weekly Energy Boost on some level, but this week is really inviting us to address our own approach in how we seek feedback, criticism, how we receive feedback and criticism, and how our attitude, our intention, and our own consciousness literally creates the communication that we receive from other people, who we receive it from, and how much we let it in is really what determines the energy and input that people give us. It's not a coincidence that this week's energy also surrounds the new moon of Leo, which is this Tuesday night and Wednesday, knowing that Leos are the king of the jungle, represented by the lion. Leo is ruled by the sun, which is the center of the solar system. And there is going to be this month that desire to be recognized, appreciated, admired, valued. And in a week where the theme can be criticism, complaining, and judgment, it can't be a coincidence that we have these two opposing forces really giving us a stage on which to explore the way that we interact with our own audience, with our own kingdom, and how to allow that kingdom to give us the feedback we need, not only because we want to grow professionally or we want to be a better spouse or parent or friend or sibling, but because we genuinely desire to do the work our soul came here to do. So Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual weather forecast where we provide our listeners with the most powerful and practical tools to navigate the coming 7 days. We do that by gleaning through the wisdom of Kabbalah and extracting the wisdom and tools that are not only going to serve you this week, but that are going to serve you any week of the year, any year of your life. And because of the combination of these two influences, it's prime time to do this reflection and also take the action that backs up our intention of desiring to fulfill our soul's purpose. So, Eitan, where should we begin this conversation?
I think the first point I would say that all of us desire growth, transformation, improvement, letting go, change. That's the reason we are watching, we're listening. Nevertheless, consciously or subconsciously, all of us would love suggestion to grow, to improve, to change that come in such a soothing, loving way that doesn't trigger any aspect of myself. We would love the wisdom how to change, the suggestion to change, the things to let go, to get to us in such a perfect, soothing way that we just saying, wow, I love it, you are right. Nevertheless, in life, sometimes the message of change, of suggestion for improving will come in a loving way. But many times, most of the times, that message will not align with my expectation. And that's part of the change itself. Imagine you have a person that give you a call, someone that you respect, somehow that you feel so great when they're approving of you, but you feel not so great when you feel these see areas you need to change, to grow. You interpret it as judgment. And imagine they give you a call and say, I really would love to meet with you tomorrow at 12 p.m. because I have something I want to talk to you about, things that I believe you've done wrong, you need to improve. How does it feel? We don't like it. We say we want to change, to grow, but it's so important for us that that process will be comfortable. So, Kabbalistically, our comfortable me lives within what we call my inner light. Our true potential, my next level, the better version of myself, the areas I need to change to become like, it's part of what we call the surrounding light. So, in order for my surrounding light, my potential version of myself will fit my inner light as to be a conflict. Because if not, it would be my inner light, the things I'm already aligned with and comfortable with. So, it doesn't matter how it comes, because someone can have conversation with us. Our spouse, our friend can have conversation, and maybe it's partially reactive. Maybe the other person is not coming for 100% of love. But is there something real about it? Or I want to focus about, you're so reactive, you come from a judgmental place, you don't truly care about me. In life, the messages of truth, of growth, or elevation, not always will come in a perfect way that I'm expecting it. That's part of change. It's beyond my expectation. Part of change, the part of me that is so bothered, it's the part of me that don't want to change. So actually, of course, you don't want to have abusive people around you. Just criticize you and bring their negativity to you. And there's some truth in it. I'm not suggesting that. And I'm not suggesting that we're supposed to beat ourselves up after we hear some criticism from someone else and saying, I'm a zero, I'm a nobody. That's unhealthy. How do we maintain consciousness of self love and self kindness, and at the same time open to grow and to change and allow myself to be uncomfortable in the process? Self reflection, it's essential to have daily. Event in my life that caused me to wake up to things I need to change, or a person around me that's pointing out things I need to improve, and it comes in a very uncomfortable package, it's much more powerful. So self-restriction, it's actually a daily desire to grow. I'm showing the universe I'm truly wants to grow. But the other ones are necessary, because self-reflection is always controlled by my need for comfort zone. So in this discussion, because actually in this portion of the week, Moses, for the first time after 40 years, is pointing out to the Israelites all their mistakes. And step number one of using that criticism or suggestion for growth, embracing that process, include what's uncomfortable, include, but I didn't do it, I did only that. Embracing that process is step number one to leverage these moments in our life as a major cleansing and elevation towards growth. None of us can do it. If you're in a marriage, in a close relationship, in a close friendship, and there's never hard conversations, you're not heading in the right direction. Part of the protection of any relationship, that you have people around you that have the courage to have hard conversation. Yeah, of course you would love them to come with the most amount of love and sensitivity, but it's not always gonna be that way. There's no way. There's no way true relationship will grow and me as individual will grow without surrounding myself with some people that will have the courage to have hard conversation around me. And the question is not me having the conversation. Today, this episode is about how can I learn to become more open to those conversations or those conversations from the universe, events from the universe, without the defense mechanism, which basically pushing away growth. So where would you start? What would be how do we build this attitude? What is the training, Elisheva, that we need to open ourselves to this conversation? What is some of the practice, training, preparation to the things that you can never prepare?
Well, I
Fully
think
prepare.
it's important to understand the role of the ego in this process, right? Anytime we're in a position to be influenced, it can be by a friend, by a teacher, I mean, obviously it can come in the form of a stranger or a coworker. It doesn't, but anytime someone in our lives has the potential to influence us for good, to help us change, and to diminish our ego, of course, the ego is going to come up with stories and complaints and defense on why not to listen to that person or why not to embrace that feedback, because the ego knows that if we wind up listening to that person, the ego will be diminished. Our own ability to reveal light in the world is going to be strengthened, and therefore the ego kind of throws a Hail Mary and says, I've got to do whatever I can to block this person from listening. So it's an unconscious defense that we put up to block the potential growth that this person, and again, we're not saying that you need to, anytime anybody comes to you and tells you you're wrong, you need to say you're right, I'm wrong, and just go in the other direction. But the ego's set up to tempt us to block the criticism, to block the feedback, because if we let it in and we grow as a result, the ego will be, I don't want to say defeated, but at least shortchanged. And so already to know, right, to know that our ego doesn't want, the part of us that doesn't want the discomfort of the growth or the discomfort of the reflecting on what I can do better, that's the ego. The soul is constantly pushing us toward be open, be ready to pivot, allow the discomfort to cleanse you. That's the MO of the soul. The ego is the part of us that braces itself when that person sends the text and says, can we talk at 1 p.m. tomorrow? I want to let you know about something you can change. Right? The movies and the confabulation that we do when we're worried about what somebody's going to say about us or to us is pure ego. And so in going into the world, we need to be ready, or at least have the perspective that I don't want to let my ego interfere. I know that when I grow personally, my ego has to grow with me. Otherwise, there's no more challenge. There's no more overcoming or transcending if we're not playing on equal footing. So as I desire my growth, my expansion, my whatever blessing I'm asking for in my life, I have to also ask myself, am I ready for the ego growth that's going to come with it? And what am I willing to endure in order to receive what I'm asking for? Knowing that I'm inviting criticism, I'm going to invite complaints, I'm going to invite unwanted comments from the peanut gallery. And the Rav used to say all the time, and from his teacher and his teacher before him, that's actually an indication that you're doing the right thing when people don't like what you're doing, when people have something to say about you. So knowing that doing something powerful and important is going to invite criticism and complaints is part of understanding that the part of me that doesn't want it is only my ego, My soul knows that it's part of the game to get where I want to go, and it's willing to take it. I don't want to let my ego interfere with that growth. I think that that's the first, almost like you got to psych yourself out. I'm ready for the expansion. I'm ready for the growth, and I'm also ready for the ego that's going to come with it. And I don't want to let it ruin my game.
Beautiful. So, which reminding me, in the Torah, there's dispute between Moses and his brother Aaron and Korach, which Korach criticized Moses and Aaron. And even though it was actually 99% his own agenda, his criticism, what was the first reaction of Moses of Aaron? It says they fell on their face and asked the Creator, is there some truth in that? Doesn't mean at the end they listen to him, but to go through this process with willingness to hear, that's by itself a major cleansing. That's by itself doesn't mean there's some information that is true, but in real life there's always some truth, something I need to take from. So I think if you really think about one of the greatest ego need to be nurtured is being approved and liked by people. One of the greater soul ways for the soul to be nurtured is being approved and liked by my true self and by the light of the Creator. And here comes the issue. My ego feels, if I'm not approved and liked by other people, which is the beginning process of criticism, that's how it feels. My ego right away wants to reject it. My soul knows that in the journey to open myself to the true connection to my soul and to the love from the Creator, I need to release myself from the attachment of being liked and approved by other people. It's okay. You will attract the right people that love you if you align with your soul and with the Creator. And that's require a daily practice. The Creator, I'm open to have people around me that share and suggest things that I need to improve as a daily intention. That practice, if every day you have one person that can actually have the courage, and that's what real relationship is about, at work, at home, and sometimes unexpected, to share with you things that don't make you feel just, oh, okay, I got the energy from people. That's a huge opportunity to grow. We need each other to create breakthroughs. If spiritual growth would have been just me and God, we wouldn't need people around us. We need people to share with. We need people to receive feedback from. As painful as it is. And it's a constant daily intention. Please, the Creator, allow me to attract people that can teach me. Of course, you don't want to do it in a chaotic way. But it says, when you allow yourself to receive criticism, to allow the process, doesn't mean you're going to hear everything. You need still to question what's aligned and what's not. But allow the process of criticism in your life. You're avoiding so much chaos because that process itself is a cleanser. Actually, one of the 613 precepts of the Torah is "Ocheach tochiach et amitecha." Rebuke your friend. When you love someone, and you truly care about him, don't hesitate, tell him things that they need to improve. Because if not, withholding words when you're supposed to, it's actually as if you speak evil tongue. Because none of us can do it alone. Will would love to be spiritual alone. Me with some podcast, we with some videos, me with hearing amazing ideas. What is the whole idea of having a coach? Anybody that take themselves seriously in any area of life would love somebody to coach me to become better. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. But none of us can do it alone.
I was just thinking while you were saying that, there's a story about the sun and the moon, right? That they used to be equal in like as in brilliance. It used to be the same size originally, beginning
In
of creation.
creation, in
Yes,
creation.
in creation, that the sun and the moon were meant to have equal presence in the sky. And the moon said to the creator, it can't be that there's two lights in the sky that are as big and powerful as one another. So the creator said to the moon, who at that time was as great as the sun, okay, then you have to make yourself small, because if you're jealous of someone else, you're going to lose your light. So not only was the moon shrunken, but the sun actually gained strength, because when the sun heard the moon talking badly about it, it didn't complain, it didn't lash out, it didn't say anything, it didn't talk back. It just allowed the criticism to help it grow. And that's one of the gifts of this month, by the way. If we can not only tolerate the reprimanding, the criticism, the insults, whatever it is, but actually embrace the discomfort that awakens within us, which is, again, the ego is suffering, not the soul, we will grow in our own strength and our own ability to influence, in our own connection to the light of the creator. And it's not a coincidence that it's a story about the sun. When this month is also influenced by the sun, we have that same ability in this month to do that work.
And of course, I don't want criticism for the sake of criticism. At the end of the day, each one of these interaction teaching us lessons. After the initial storm that my ego didn't like it. So that's the first test. But then second, what's the growth? What realistically, not from self-judgment and from self-hate and from being kind with myself. I'm great. I love myself. But what do I need to improve? What can I learn from that conversation, from that interaction?
It's exciting. Definitely. And I hope that we'll get to hear from those of you who are embracing this work. Let us know how it's going, and what other support you need in order to be that version of you that not only allows and expects, but looks forward to those interactions so that you can become stronger and more powerful in your own work. Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow us on those platforms to receive more content throughout the week to help you apply what we learn in every episode. You're also welcome to visit weeklyenergyboost.com, where you can search through our archives, send us a message, and click the donate button to help make Weekly Energy Boost possible. But as always, share this episode with friends, with family. Help us reach more ears and help each individual on planet Earth do more to expand their potential to fulfill their soul's purpose. And we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.